Hey everyone, this is lesson 5.10. It's going to be a very short lesson, or at least fingers crossed, I don't rant, and it is a quite short video where I'm actually just going to walk you through the investigation that you're going to be doing on your own with your device. So what you want to do is take out your device and you're going to Google DESMOS, or you can download the DESMOS app. And then once you get to DESMOS, you can click on the graphing calculator portion, okay? And so it should look something like this. All right, so you're going to be using this in order to go through the investigation today. And what we're going to be investigating is the transformations of y equals mx plus b. So in other words, what does the role of m, your slope, have on the y equals x line? And also, what is the role of the y-intercept, your initial value, the b? Okay, so we're going to do this in 4 parts. The first part, part A, is what happens if this is your original OG line, your y equals x, and what happens when you start to add or subtract things to it. So notice that y equals x is going to be the first one, but then we're going to get you to also graph several different ones that have plus numbers at the back and minus numbers and see what happens. So my suggestion would be that you go in here and you just type in y equals x. And so that's the original. Notice that it goes through 0, 0. And do you see like where 1 and 1 are? Is right here. This is 2 and 2. So you can click or touch with your finger along the line, and it actually, you can even scroll, and it has all the numbers. And so notice that this line is y equals x. So whatever x number is, y number is also going to be. And so if you go down, same thing, whatever your x number is, your y number is also. So that's what we call the y equals x line. Now, you put in y equals x plus 3 right here. So I would actually have the original up there, but start to compare other ones to it. So y equals x plus 3 is going to look like this. And so you're just going to compare, oh, what happened from the original to become this new blue line. Okay. Now, after you do that to all of them, you're actually going to draw them all here. And as you're doing that, notice that I have each of the equations all lined up right here. So if you're dealing with the y equals x plus 3 line, I want to know what the x and y intercepts are. So the original OG graph, y equals x, has an x and y intercept right here. So notice this at this point, 0, 0 is where the red line touches both the x and the y axes. But for the blue line, the the x-intercept is right here. Okay, so again, you can just touch it with your finger, -3 and 0. So that's what you're going to be writing right here. Okay, so you're just going to go -3, 0. And then over here, you're going to write down the other one. So this one is 0 and 3. Okay, so just 0, 3. All right. And what you're going to do is you're going to figure out, okay, is the graph going up or down? And so just looking at the graph, it's going in and upwards from like left to right is actually going up. Okay, so you're not going from right to left like downwards, you're going upwards. Okay, so just like the original equation, which was going up, you're just going to say it's going up. All right, now what is the effect that it had just by adding the 3 compared to the original? That's what we're trying to get you to understand for this video, okay? So looking at the red to the blue, it looks like everything kind of moved up 3 coordinates because now it's at 3. This dot that used to be at 0 is now at 3. And so notice that it says a vertical translation. Translation means a vertical shift. But don't say the word shift. We're actually trying to get you geared up for grade 10. Grade 10, you do not say shift. You say translated. Okay, like you get marks for saying this word. Okay, so vertical translation up and then 3 units. So it went 3 up. Okay, so that's what I want you to fill out for all of these guys. Now, you're going to make a rule. What do you think after seeing all of these different numbers at the back? What is the overall rule for if you add or subtract things at the back compared to the original OG graph? And then you're just going to match. So if you understand your rule, which one of these will match with this guy? And which one of these will match with this guy? And so on. Okay, so part B, forget about adding a number at the back of the original OG graph. Now you're going to add a number in the front. So what happens if you put an m or a slope in front? Okay, and it's a positive number. We're just going to deal with positives for now. So let's just take a look at this guy. Okay, so I'm going to change this up, delete that, and put a 2 in front instead and see what happens. So the red is my original and now my blue is a little bit different. Okay. So it looks like the intercepts are going to be pretty much the same. All right, because they both go through, like the blue line still has the intercepts through 0, 0. All right, but it does look a little bit different than the one before. Now, in terms of the steepness, it is going up still. So why don't we write that down as well? I'm just going to copy and paste that. And again, you'll know if it's going down if it actually goes this way, so sloping downwards. Okay, now what else did they ask us? They asked us to figure out the steepness compared to the original. So notice that it's already written in your notes that it's steeper than the original. And what they mean by that is, see how, like, imagine I was climbing a hill and the original is I'm going to be climbing like this, okay, up the red hill. So now the blue one is an even steeper hill that I have to climb up. And so just by changing up the numbers in the front, you'll start to notice the steepness is going to change as well. And that's the rule that I want you to write down here. What do you think is happening as I'm changing the numbers? What effect does that have on the steepness of the original OG graph? Okay, now as you understand that rule, you can then practice by seeing if you understand which of these four graphs actually matches this equation, whereas which of these four graphs matches this equation, and so on. So here's part C. Part C is, okay, I'm still going to add just a number in the front, that is the slope, right? Not the number in the back, which was the y-intercept. However, this time I'm going to add some negatives and we'll see what happens. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you really quick the original and if I add a negative in front. Okay, so let's get rid of this 2 and put a negative. Oh, interesting. And so you'll notice that it doesn't really go upwards like the red anymore. It actually goes downwards. And so what we call this is a reflection. Almost like imagine that this point 2, 2 was reflected over a mirror, and we'll place that mirror right here, the x-axis. And so this 2, 2 is now reflected over the mirror over to here at 2, negative 2. Okay, and so this point has now been reflected down here. And this point, which was down here, is now reflected to be up there. So what we actually say when we add the negative, once you fill this out, right, is that there is a reflection in the x-axis. So that's what it means. It's kind of like upside down. It's flipped. By the way, do not say flipped. Don't say flipped in the x-axis. Grade 10 teachers will be very angry at you. We use the word reflected or a reflection. Okay, I actually take off marks from my grade 10s if they use the word flipped. So we're trying to gear you up for next year. All right, so you're going to do that for all of these and then figure out if there is some sort of an effect or rule that putting a negative in front of your slope will do to the original OG graph. And again, if you really get this, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to match this equation with whichever its corresponding graph will be. And the same with this one and this one and this one. Okay, so that's the investigation. That's what we want you to play with. I want to know if you understand, and this is your homework, okay, if you understand what this number at the back, your B number, is for. What is its role? Then I also want to know if you understand what the slope does to the equation compared to the original y equals x graph. Then I also want to know, do you actually understand what putting a negative in front of the slope will do to your equation? And that's it, under 10 minutes.